Hello, everyone. Today we are talking to another Airbnb host. This time it's April. April, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Jay?
Good. Okay, so this is kind of what I'm thinking we're going to talk about today. Number one, is you live in a vacation area, kind of like we do. You run your own Airbnb. You also are kind of like a property manager for somebody else, so that's really interesting because people have heard about that. And then number three, you also live in that area where people are kind of debating whether or not Airbnb is a good or bad thing. So I wanted to kind of talk about that as well. So how does
Yep.
that sound?
Yeah, sounds good. All definitely things where I experience, I work with, and yeah.
So let's first start. So we also live in a vacation area. So explain, how did you end up in Lake Tahoe, and what is it like to live in a place where people go to have fun?
Well, I guess I ended up here on a whim, similar to most people, I guess. I came here for one season of snowboarding. I was kind of escaping, a bad economy. I graduated college and couldn't really find a great job, and things weren't going my way. So I thought I'd just be a ski bum for a winter, and that was almost 10 years ago.
Now, real quick, I live for a summer in it's Taos in
Hmm.
it's New Mexico, and I worked. It's construction, and I worked with a group of guys that basically during the summertime they would work, and then as soon as a winter time comes, it was all about skiing. Is that
Yeah.
what your life is like now?
Well, yes and no. I moved here definitely to snowboard and experience winter, but I'd say my life is a little more well rounded than just work all summer and don't do anything in winter.
Cool. What's the history of that area? We were kind of talking about that earlier. Can you kind of sketch out how Lake Tahoe happened?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's obviously, I don't know if you've ever been, but it's obviously a beautiful area, really well known, really large alpine lake, beautiful trees, and it's a great place to visit. But I think going way back, it really gained popularity after, a couple of gold and silver rushes in the area. So that's when people started coming. It had fame in the 20s with the mobsters and the mafia, Frank Sinatra, people like that came up here to vacation and gamble. And then, towns around the lake really grew before, during, and after the 1960 Olympics, which were held in Squaw Valley, which is up North Lake Tahoe. So that's when the town really increased in, I guess, popularity and size, or the towns around the lake, I should say. And then after that, it just became known as, vacation destination, and it's grown from there.
Right now, so we have driven through it. We've never really kind of stayed for very long because we live in San Francisco. Because it's about what, 3 hours outside of San Francisco?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 to 4 hours
Right.
or seven, depending on traffic.
So the community itself, like, what percentage is like full time, and what percentage is just like second homes and vacation rentals?
So I don't have the exact numbers, but
Okay.
I've heard anywhere from 50 to 70% of homes here are second homes.
Wow.
So it's definitely a vacation destination where people, bought up this property that was cheap,
Yeah.
and they're living in the Bay Area or San Francisco, Sacramento, Reno, Nevada, and coming here to enjoy the lake. But that leaves a lot of vacant homes and a lot of opportunity for vacation rentals and Airbnb and VRBO and all that.
And places are not cheap now, right?
I mean, relatively compared to the rest of California,
Yeah.
I'd say that they are still cheap in South Lake Tahoe,
Got it.
which is where I live. There's a few other communities that are a lot more expensive, but you can still find a good deal here and there.
And then the people coming to stay are mainly, I mean, are they like a lot of times just people coming for a weekend from San Francisco or from, you know?
Um, well, Tahoe really has international appeal. So you get people from all over, from Europe, from Japan, Australia. It is an international destination, but it's also very accessible to, even the Sacramento Valley, escaping the heat in the summer will come to Tahoe for. So it definitely ranges. We have
Yeah.
all sorts of tourists here, from one day to a week to, full month of ski vacation in the winter.
And just so we're kind of like laying the groundwork here for our other it's questions. So right now, your main job is bartending. Is that correct?
Mhm. Yep, that's my main job. I work as a bartender year round at a restaurant on the lake, and then I also bartend at a ski resort in the winter.
Wow. So it sounds like a pretty cool vacation spot where people are coming for different reasons in different parts of the year, right? Like it doesn't ever slow down.
It does slow down. So I'd say we have two definite, touristic seasons, and there'll be 4 months of summer and 4 months of winter. So I'd say, a month and a half to 2 months of shoulder season is what we call it.
Yep.
On each end, where things start to slow down. You don't get as many tourists, but that's, I guess, when we enjoy the lake and the area.
Right. So, okay. So we understand that part. All right. Now, you must have been smart enough to at some point have bought a place there, right?
Yeah, well, I wasn't planning on buying property. I was actually I really like to travel, so that's what I do in my shoulder seasons usually.
Mm-hmm.
Save my money and travel when it's slow here in Lake Tahoe. And so I was saving money for an around the world trip.
Wow.
And I totally changed my mind within, maybe a month or 2 months, and started talking to people about buying property. And this is three and a half years ago. And, the market was still really low all around California. And the money I had saved, I, started looking for a property. I didn't qualify for much because as a bartender, there's some income that might not get reported. And the only option I had was to buy a duplex if I wanted to buy a place.
In cash or
no,
you got a loan?
Financed. Yeah, I did get it financed. But the only thing I qualified for, I should say, was to buy a duplex, because if you buy a duplex, you get to count the projected rent of one side in your income before you have it.
I mean, that actually seems like a better idea than just getting a regular house. I mean,
there's a lot of multifamily properties here in the area, and it definitely helped me. I mean, I was petrified. I'd never even had a loan for a car before buying my property, so it was the first loan I ever held.
Yeah. And were other friends of yours who are also, quote unquote ski bums? I mean, is that the time when other people are getting older and doing the same thing, or?
Yeah, I kind of feel like it's definitely been, where I'm in my 30s, and my group of friends is too. So I feel that there's a group of us who are kind of moving towards that and seeing opportunities here, because like I said, it is expensive in California, but this area isn't quite as expensive yet.
Now, so real quick, so it's a duplex. So is it like a 2-1 on each side, like a two?
No, it's actually just a 1-1. So it looks like a house from the front. It's a front and back duplex, right. And there's a mirror image of each other. 1 bedroom, 1 bath, pretty small, 500 square feet on each side. The nice thing, the thing that drew me to the property, aside from a really great price, was the behind the second one is 3 unbuildable lots.
Wow.
And it's a drainage area that's owned by the city, and so it really just provides this nice, backyard area where it's, you don't have a, huge apartment complex behind you. It's calm, it's nice, and that's probably, that was the best thing about the property when I bought it.
Now, can I ask you how much it cost?
Yeah, it was $175,000.
What? That's a great deal for 2 places.
Yeah, it was a screaming deal. I mean, and it was disrepair. It was pretty crappy when I bought it.
Well, why don't we talk about that some? Because some people hearing this, they're either thinking about buying property and fixing it up, or how bad had it been, and what was the process of fixing it up?
Yeah, so I bought it in the beginning of 2012. The beginning of summer of 2012, and it had been partially flipped. So an investment company had bought it, 4 months before me for $110,000, which was also just crazy. And they did, the bare minimum to really turn a profit. New laminate floors, some new drywall, paint, and some new lighting. And then when I purchased it, it needed a lot. I mean, the back unit had been smoked in, the windows were all fogged up, no seals. The kitchens needed and bathrooms needed complete remodeling. So I think I'm kind of like you guys. I like to find the good deals. I don't like to spend a lot on things that I can do myself. So I spent my entire summer using any extra income I had from bartending, remodeling the place with the help of family and friends and many Craigslist purchases and trips to the Habitat for Humanity store.
Now, did you already know people that knew how to do its construction work, or how did you do all the work?
I knew some in town. My family and my dad in particular helped a lot. He was born and raised on a farm, and he's very handy.
Nice.
And my parents live about 2.5 hours away, so they were definitely here helping me a lot. I couldn't have done it without them, and the whole summer was a really great learning process.
I mean, there's nothing better than having a family member that knows how to do construction work.
Yeah, my dad knows a ton. That the problem with him is we butt heads on things like codes and how doing things, the right way by the book. Because he grew up on a farm. They fix things how they want to fix it to work for life, but not necessarily if you wanted to sell the place.
Yeah, we live in a farm area, and definitely when we've looked at properties, you'll go and a farm, they'll have like a million little small buildings that some guys built, and they're like totally ramshackle, and I'm sure that they fit the purpose that they had built it for, but yeah.
Right.
But, hey, why not? Okay, and can I ask, so how much do you think it costs you to kind of fix it up?
I think to date, and now I'm kind of doing a more superficial and extra, nice things outside of the property. It's been about 30,000
Wow.
I've put in, and it's nice that I've been able to do that without financing any of that. Just it's all cash.
That's the nice thing, because we've talked about how we've redone our places and we take our time, because really it takes time because we're just paying out of pocket. So we aren't getting a big loan from the bank. We take about a year or so and just, do each project and pay in cash. And that's really nice, because then at the tail end, there's no loan.
Yeah, it feels more comfortable that way for me, definitely.
Cool. Well, that's pretty incredible that you were able to get a place so cheap in Tahoe. In Lake Tahoe. That's amazing.
Yeah, it's I wish I could find another deal like that right now.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing, but you do what you can. All right. Yep. So that's what the place is. Now, you talked about when you first had this extra rental, you were first doing a long-term. So can you explain how that worked and who was renting it?
Yeah, so I originally lived in the back unit, and after I fixed it up, I spent about 2 months doing that. The front unit was ready to rent, and it was the right timing. A friend of mine was moving back into town, and she actually worked at the restaurant that I currently work at, and so I rented to her, and it wasn't an ideal situation on paper. I wouldn't prefer to rent to a friend or someone who I also worked with. It felt like I was possibly mixing both of my businesses together. But it did work out really well. She stayed here for almost over 2 years, and we had a great casual relationship. I mean, of course, we had a lease, but I could come over and let her dog out when she needed it, and we'd have coffee in the morning when we wanted to. But it was great. It was a great situation renting to a friend, and very open about problems and anything that she needed. And so that happened until she moved in with her boyfriend. And during that time, when I traveled, I would occasionally rent my place out on Airbnb. So I'd move all my stuff into my storage shed, rent out my place, for 2-3 weeks when I was traveling. And I started to see the money that was coming in from that. And so I wasn't going to kick her out or tell her she to leave, but I was waiting for her to
You
move
were
into my
eyeing
bed.
you were eyeing it and always dropping hints like, "Oh, your boyfriend's so nice. Wouldn't it be better?" Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean that's good. Yeah, I can imagine we've never rented long term, but yeah, I can imagine renting to a friend would have its good and bad points. I mean, if it's all working out, it's probably a dream. If it doesn't work out, it's probably a nightmare.
Yeah. I ran through scenarios in my head, and of
Right.
course, things could happen, but they didn't. We're still friends to this day.
Good.
And so,
So can I
yeah.
ask how much you were renting per a month to her?
Yeah, it was $700 a month, and that's kind of market rate for this size place. It might be a little bit more now as we're seeing kind of a lack of rentals, long-term rentals in the area.
And so when she left, you then decided, okay, Airbnb. Did you have to do anything special to that side to get it ready for Airbnb?
Yeah, well, what I did actually was I moved to the front unit. So the back unit, when I remodeled, I made it a little bit nicer because I knew that I'd be living there for at least some time.
Yep.
And so it was already set up for the Airbnb. It just, with the backyard and being private back there, I figured it was the better side to rent for short term. And so I moved to the front, and that allowed me to also, make some more improvements to the front side that I hadn't done yet, and just started renting the back full time on Airbnb.
And just so people hearing this, we will link to At Your Place, if that's okay, on the blog
Yeah.
post, so people can just kind of get a sense of the style and how it looks. And I mean, I think you really did a really nice job. I mean, it's like what I always say, I don't think it's that complicated to make a place look cozy and kind of special.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I did put my few. I mean, I keep it pretty simple in there, but I just left my personal touch, which is a lot of travel memorabilia. I put some old maps in there that I really liked, and a few things I picked up along the way in my travels, and couple extra things. But I've also lived there, so I know exactly what you need in that place to make it a home.
Yeah, that's awesome. Okay, so are you renting both on Airbnb and VRBO?
No, I only do Airbnb. I don't know if it's maybe, our generation or age, but VRBO is not user friendly for me.
Yeah.
I don't like it. I've never searched for it. And when I rent places, I only go on Airbnb. So
Yeah.
that's just the mode that I like to rent on. So it gets me enough rentals.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, our place is on both sites, but I would say over 80% of our rentals come from Airbnb and VRBO. We do get some rentals, but yeah, it's definitely different. It seems like it's older, maybe more families, who are renting
Yeah.
for their vacation. And it does feel like a website because they were the first. They were around like in the late 90s. And they've kind of like, changed their website with the times, but it still feels kind of clunky.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
All right, so let's talk about it. You rented, so you'd already had experience renting out at your own personal place, so that was good just because you already had some experience dealing with people. What is the actual process now? Like, are you meeting people? Is it self-check-in? Who's cleaning?
I'm pretty casual. I kind of do half and half. Since I work nights, I am mostly here when people are going to be checking in, unless they're arriving late. So I don't feel the need to always meet them. It's pretty clear in my listing that I do live in the front, so I don't think that people are trying to sneak in or get extra people or doing something like that.
Right. I mean, and plus that's good too, so people have that expectation where they're not thinking it's a secluded place. They know the owners,
Right.
right there. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, if I'm here, I'll meet them and give them a very quick tour of the small place. It doesn't take long.
Here it is.
Answer any questions that they have, and and then just let them be. And if they are arriving late, I sometimes even do the old school thing and leave the key under the mat. I still haven't got a keypad entry, or I'll have a friend meet them and give them a key if I happen to be at work and it's super late when they're arriving.
Yeah. Yeah, we really recommend it's for us is I don't know how to. The word is Schlage, I think is the brand is like
Oh, yeah.
Schlage. It's at Lowe's, and they're about $100, and they're great. Like people try and push those like $500 internet locks or whatever. Forget that. Just like
Yeah.
the ones at Home Depot, and get the one that's just the deadbolt, not the one that has a handle, because we were having problems where it was a little flimsy. So
Oh, that's, yeah. I definitely need to take a trip to Lowe's and do
yeah,
that.
easy to install. So
Yeah.
because having that code is really nice to be able to give people and change. Okay, so how much per night is the rental?
I charge, usually it hovers around 100. If it's a certain holiday, 4th of July, really
Yep.
big here, or New Year's, something like that, it's up to 170, but I'd say the average is 100.
It's different on weekends than weeknights?
Yeah, a little bit higher. I'd say I think I have it at $15 higher
Yep.
on weekends.
Yep. And does that include your cleaning fee, or there's an extra cleaning fee?
No, my cleaning fee is 55 a
I see
night.
that. Yep.
Yeah, I know I've mentioned on your blog and talked to you guys about cleaning fees before. And with our industry and our, the tourism that's here in Tahoe, I almost feel that cleaning fees are they're just so standard that it's not an issue to
You
charge
guys,
that.
I mean, I'm really impressed. People who charge, a good cleaning fee, it's like that, are so bold. I love it. I mean, $55, that's great. It's
Yeah.
basically, so if I'm renting 2 nights, it's like an extra, $28 or something. It's
Yeah. I mean,
great.
I did the math and I just, I paid myself $40 an hour
Yeah.
and I don't have washer and dryer. So $15 to take the stuff to either laundromat and do it myself or wash and fold.
I mean, and so you don't feel like that stops people from its booking at all. Like you don't see
Uh,
it.
yeah, I mean, I don't. I feel like the numbers show that it doesn't either. And then maybe it's because our other, we have a lot of vacation rentals here, and we also have hotels that charge some strange resort fee. So maybe it's
Right.
always there in some way.
Yeah, I guess that's the good thing. If everyone is charging some kind of extra fee, then it's just a normal expectation.
Right.
How many nights do you think you average per month? I mean, is it all over the place depending on the season?
Yeah, I'd say, in the high season, it's different between summer and winter because it's a different kind of guest. But in the summer, it's 22 to 25
Holy
nights.
moly! Yeah.
So it's great and it keeps you really busy. And because there's longer rentals in the summer, people are coming up for a week or, a wedding for 4 days, something like that. And the winter, we tend to get more, we call weekend warriors, people
Yeah.
coming up for just the weekend to ski. And so, my goal in the winter, and I think the average is 18 to 22.
So even on like a slower month, I mean, you could be making $2,000, right? 100 nights, 20 nights.
Yep. And that's generally my goal
Yeah.
is trying to get to that dollar amount per month.
Yeah. I mean, and we're going to talk about it kind of towards the end here, where we talk about how towns are cringing that, places are being taken off the market for long-term rentals and turned into Airbnbs. But I mean, you just cannot deny that a money's so much better than just renting for $700 a month.
Right. Yeah, it definitely is. And the other thing is, I don't know, my place is a labor of love. I put so much into it. I love being able to offer this great service and, kind of increase my property value and the look of my property from this extra money that I'm getting. And to see my place every 4 to 5 days when I'm cleaning it,
Yep.
that's important to me.
Now, just going back to the kinds of people that come and stay, would you say what percentage are like younger people versus older people?
I'd say it's generally a younger couple in between the ages of 20 and 40. Occasionally I get, an older couple or older person that's doing some sort of event, like a biking event, or I just had a woman who was swimming across Lake Tahoe, 22 miles
Holy
in the
moly.
middle of night. She was amazing. But yeah, generally it's younger couples that rent my place, and I try to make it clear that it is best suited for a couple from the layout. It just that's how it works. It's
And do people try and like say, well, we have two little small kids, they'll sleep on the floor, or it's my friend's coming, he can sleep on the couch?
Yeah, and I do. I mean, I actually put no kids in my listing, but I do allow kids. Just I like to talk to people and let them know, hey, the door to the bedroom is an opaque sliding door. It's not soundproof. The bathroom is in the bedroom, off of the bedroom. So I just want you to look at the layout and know that this is what it is, and it's going to work for. Is it going to work for your family or your
Right.
group? And
Yeah, I think that's good. Yeah, I'm reading here. It says it's best suited for two people, but considerations will be made for a third party. So it's good that you have that expectation for people so they can really think about how friendly they are. It's with their friends
yeah,
or kids, you know?
exactly.
Yeah. And do people bring dogs or are you no dogs?
I also on request. So I try to I put it no dogs or no pets because I'm just worried about other people's allergies. The next
Yeah.
guest afterwards. I know it's extremely hard to remove allergens from it, even with a great cleaning. So I've had a few dogs in the property, but not many.
Also, I can imagine people coming in the summertime, they come and they're probably hiking, and that's kind of understood. But people who are skiing, are people coming with like a muddy boots? I feel like it'd be a lot dirtier.
Well, yeah, there's definitely a lot moisture and dirt in the winter months, and I guess that's nice. It's not carpeted, so it's relatively easy to clean. But I guess I'm just used to it because I'm used to cleaning up after myself. So
Yeah. Yeah, well, I guess it's good that you're a skier too, so can really kind of talk to people about good places to go to and.
yeah, I do have a lot of local insight and been to all the ski resorts in the area. So when people are coming to do that, I have some great recommendations. And
So, have you ever had any bad experiences, or is there anything you wish that you had done it's differently, so other new people could learn from that?
I haven't had any bad experiences. I've had, I guess, some subpar ones. The one that happened recently, which I was only just lucky on, is I noticed that the people were gone, and so my checkout procedure is leave the key inside and lock the door behind you, and people don't have to let me know when they're leaving.
Yep.
Most of the time, I'm not here, so I went into the place to clean it, and it was a Friday morning at 11:30. Checkouts at 11, and I walked in, and all the couple's stuff was still in the property, and so I said, okay, that's fine. I sent him a message and I didn't hear back. And I didn't have anyone checking in till the next afternoon, luckily.
Hmm.
And then I sent them another message and they still hadn't responded. So then I called and they said, oh my gosh, we didn't even realize. And I definitely believed them. We thought we were checking out tomorrow. Um, had I had somebody checking in that same day, that
Right.
would have been more of an issue because I don't know what I would have done. I guess I
Yeah.
would have had to pack up their stuff and clean it.
So then they just booked another night. They just.
They did book another night. Yeah, they happened
Right.
to be out in the deserts of Nevada, and so they weren't anywhere near, excuse me, the property.
Well, that's cool. So, I mean, it's no problems with like, a bunch of, two dudes coming and they party at night or whatever.
No problems with that. Although since I work nights, people could be being loud. I'm not here, so
Ah, that's
yeah.
right. That's kind of nice. Yeah, because I bet if you don't come home till whatever 3 o'clock in the morning or whatever.
Yeah, between midnight and 2 or 3 is when I arrive home. So
Yeah.
I think that's kind of ideal for the people staying too. I'm not, they can make dinner and have a nice time at night, and there won't be anyone in the front.
I mean, that sounds perfect. If you have a duplex, it's close to you. You can clean it. It's small enough. It's not like a 3-bedroom house.
Right.
So it's perfect. Now, the next thing I thought was interesting is that, so because that worked for you, I think you said that you have a friend that had a couple properties and he was like, can you manage these for me? Right?
Right. So he has been a successful vacation renter owner for, I think he's had his places for 10 years. So how it started was he saw that I was a super host and he got jealous. And and he's a guy and he doesn't have the great
Yeah.
design sense or that kind of thing. And so how it started was I was doing an interior redesign of both of his places.
Now, real quick, is he like a local guy or these are just he lives
Yeah,
somewhere else.
well, he's been in and out of the area for the last 20 years, I think. So, yeah, he now is local.
And the other question is, was he renting on Airbnb or going through another company?
Yeah, he is using Airbnb for both of his rentals exclusively as well.
And then the other question I had, I'm sorry, is are there, traditional property management companies in the area? I'm sure
Yes,
there's.
there
Okay,
are a lot.
got it. Okay.
Um, so he was going on a trip to where he wasn't going to have any internet, and he asked if I could take care of his place for 2 weeks, and I said sure, no problem. I use Airbnb. The infrastructure is easy for me. And when he got back, he said, "Wow, that was great. Do you want to do this full time?" And I said yes. This was in the middle of winter. I said yes. I want to do a trial period because I'm not sure how it's going to work. So we started May 15th, and we're going to September 15th for
Okay.
a trial.
So you're the one who instituted having a trial period, and it's not him. He was all in. It sounded like.
He was all in. He owns a couple businesses, and he's really busy with what he's doing in his, I guess, in the business world. So he was stoked to not have to deal with that communication factor. I'm not a pessimist, so I guess I'm a realist. I wanted to make sure that if I'm doing something, I'm going to be able to do it correctly and well and at the time. And so that's why I wanted to do a trial period. And we're also going to the same wedding internationally right after September 15th. So I said, this should be the trial period. And then we've got to figure out who's going to take care of all of our places while we're both gone out of the country. And then we're going to reassess afterwards.
Right. So let me ask you a couple things. So are his two other places, are they close by? Or are they like on the other side of the lake?
They're not on the other side of the lake. They're both in South Lake Tahoe. So one's about 2 miles from my house, and the other one's about 5. So not far at all.
So I think Airbnb is instituting like a new feature where you can make other people be like a user on your account so they don't have full access, but kind of like what you're doing here. And correct me if I'm wrong. So that way you can have someone kind of run your business, but they don't get to see everything else. Is that true, or how are you handling?
Yes, they just launched that about a week ago. Because I'm kind of a nerd about the site, and
Yeah.
I know everything about it. So beforehand, I had I still do, but I had full access to his account. So just log in. I set it so all text messages were forwarded to me, and that I was the point of contact for his rentals. And
That was
they,
before the a feature got
right.
instituted, right? Wow.
And
I mean, he had to really trust you to give you access to everything like that.
yeah, I mean, luckily we do have a really, trusting relationship, and I would never do harm to him or his business, and I think he does fully trust me as well. I mean, I have a credit card to pay for
Sure.
anything I need to buy for his place, and he's just like, "Here's my card, buy
Yeah.
what you need."
Right.
And
Perfect.
so it works out really well in that sense. So now I'm testing their new feature. So for one of his rentals, I'm using forget what it's called. It's not Host Assist, but I'm using that feature. And for the other rental, I'm logging into his account. So I want to work with both of them simultaneously to see how they match up.
Right.
Essentially,
I mean, obviously having full control over his account is probably the best. But so, what is the other side like? Can you get the messages and answer people?
yeah.
You
So
can't.
far, I haven't seen any difference. So the difference is the challenge, I guess, was with my place and his place is that I had to use the app on my phone to manage my place, and then I would have to log in to my computer,
Uh,
like just for his place, and
right.
so that could just be annoying if I'm out and about, and then I had to log in on the mobile site on my phone. I mean, it's not that difficult, but it
Right.
would be nice if it was all together. So with the new feature they launched, I can have the app on my phone will cover all the bases.
Now, what is it like being in charge of three places? I mean, are you getting messages quite often?
It's so weird how it's like the ebb and flow. I don't know how it is for your rental, but it'll be 4 days and I won't hear anything from anyone. And then all of a sudden one day I'll, nonstop messages from every place.
Right.
So I guess you never know what you're going
Yeah,
to get.
I know because I mean I guess I asked. So we're about to open up our second one this year or maybe next year. I know we'll see how long it takes to fix it up, but because really, if you think about it, our place gets booked way ahead of time. So kind of like in the spring, everyone's booking for the summertime. So the summertime's actually kind of quiet because everyone's already booked. Then it's just checking people in. So it really isn't nonstop, its messages. So I don't think having two or three would probably be that bad.
Yeah, yeah, I feel like it's always just random and I'm never sure. For example, the 4th of July weekend, I knew that unless there was a problem, I probably wouldn't get one message from any place on
Right.
throughout that week because everyone's out doing stuff. But July 5th, like without fail, it was crazy. Bookings for everything and a lot of inquiries and
Now, I mean, I don't know about you, but I find like we don't really, once people check in, we don't really get any questions. And I mean, I hope that's because we've done something right where we've just given people everything they need. So they don't need to talk to us. Is that true in your case, or people pretty needy?
not yeah, from my place, my personal place, I don't get much after they check in. For Chris's places, Chris is my the guy that I work for. He unless there's a problem, and so we did have a huge issue with a hot tub 2 months ago.
Hot
Oh my gosh, he's considering just taking it out because he's so frustrated with it. And I don't know anything about hot tubs, but dispatching the right people to get out there and fix it, and so it's only when there's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, where we live, there are people that have lots of rentals here, and some people have been renting for decades. And when we meet them, they'll ask us if we have a rental, and in their first breath, they'll say you have to have a hot tub. People love a hot tub. Then in their second breath, they say, "I hate the hot tub. I don't want a hot tub." So
Yeah, I think he's in the same boat there.
yeah,
Is even worth it with all the problems, and most of the time it's fine, but they always break at Friday at 5 p.m. when you can't get anyone there until Monday
right.
at 10. So
And someone's like puking in it and just like gross.
yeah, I don't get it. I don't like the
Yeah,
things personally, but they
yeah.
are popular.
Now, did you, when you took on renting this place, did you also, because I think you said you did the insides. I mean, had that been part of it? Like, if I take it, I need to make it kind of my own style. So I feel
Well, that was actually our initial contract. This was well before I was managing his places. He asked me if that was something I'd like to do, and I said, sure. That sounds great. I can spend other people's money to make this great vacation rental. So, kind of did a full inventory of everything, and upgraded everything from bedding to kitchen to furniture, and really made it nice. And I think that's the only way I'd be comfortable also managing a place is that if I knew exactly what was in there.
I totally agree. I think that cannot be stressed enough. Like, if we were to ever consider kind of managing someone else's property, they would have to agree to us going in there and making it the way we wanted to make it, because
Yeah.
then you can kind of vouch for the place, and you can head off any its problems ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, I'm happy to run his business the way he wants to, but I need to cover all my bases. I don't want to not have the answer to a question, or, if somebody's complaining about something, just, I guess, believe them on face value or say, no, actually, I know that it's nice because
Yep.
I did it.
I did it right.
Yeah.
Now, people are thinking two things. The two big questions here. Number one, how much is your cut?
Yeah, so I guess that we looked up a lot about the industry standards, and it really ranges on your area and state even, and it was anywhere from 20 to 30%. So we settled somehow on 22.5% of current bookings.
Yep.
So I don't get any commission for bookings in the future, but I mean the plan is to continue probably. So I will get.
So you get a cut of any time people stay in the place while you're in charge
Right.
of it. Yeah,
Yep.
gotcha. And does that include, and you're the one that cleans it too? Is that right?
No, so he's had his rentals, I think I said for about 10 years. And so I'm mainly the communications person is how I look at it.
Got it.
He's got all his vendors and people in place. He's got a great cleaning crew, a handyman that can be contacted pretty much 24/7, snow removal guy.
And you're the one that handles that though, right? I mean, so if there's a problem, you're the one that calls all
Right.
these people. Okay.
Yeah. So now, we've kind of transitioned to, hey, don't contact Chris anymore. Please call or email, text me,
Right.
and I'll take care of it.
Now, okay, so the other question is, that sounds like a pretty sweet deal. Do you think that you might expand into getting more, management situations like this?
I'm unsure at this point. I mean, I like it, but the one thing I don't like is having to be connected 24/7.
Ah, yeah.
And and that would maybe just sometimes I could probably leave for 4 days and not even look at my phone or the website and nothing would happen. But it's just the knowledge that something could happen and the feeling that I do need to be connected all the time.
Right.
That's making me unsure that if I'd want to take on more.
So it sounds like a problem that needs to be solved, or a solvable problem. I mean, one way to solve it would be for you if you're making enough money to have like a part-time freelance helper.
Yeah,
Someone who can.
and we've talked about that, and we have a person in place that we both trust for when we are going to be gone on vacation. But I guess I haven't found the right person that I trust enough for my place or
Yep.
and his places that's really going to work to do that because it is giving away a lot of control, and I don't think I like to do that.
Yeah, no, I mean, trust me, we're the same way. It's like, I mean, it took us a while to even find a cleaner that we felt good about. It's hard to
Right.
find. But, I mean, but people were giving us good advice. They were just start asking around, start interviewing people, and, you know, people are good. You just
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah, I think we just have to find the right fit, somebody that it'll also work for them that we can call on when, for example, Tahoe's a great backpacking destination, but so I'm thinking ahead, well, when it's the off season and I want to go into the woods for a couple of days, who's going to take care of all our places?
So beyond like that kind of problem that to solve, does it feel fun to you? Is it enjoyable kind of is managing these properties, or is bartending a much more fun kind
No,
of
it
job?
does feel fun. Well, bartending is more fun just because you get to talk to people all the time, but I do enjoy it. And, being in the hospitality industry, I like providing a great service and, people are asking what to do in Tahoe and this and that. And I'm providing all those answers. So, and luckily his places are set up well that we're not running into a lot of problems. It's more just giving people advice and providing, a really great place for them to stay while they're here in Tahoe.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, because I'm only asking these things because again, we live in a vacation area and people rent their places, and there are traditional property management companies that are really old-fashioned and horrible websites, and they're expensive. And I'm just like, it just seems like if we wanted to, I bet there would be a market out there where we could approach these people who have second homes here that have heard of Airbnb, and they're like, go for it.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I even had somebody reach out on Chris's Airbnb site and say, "Hey, I noticed that you're getting great reviews and your place looks clean and amazing. Who's your cleaner?" And
Right.
so I wrote him back and said, "Hey, I'm managing these places." And then he immediately responded, "Well, hey, are you interested in taking on another? 'Cause I might be doing that."
Seriously.
So I think there's definitely a market for that in
Yeah.
most areas.
Okay, so then the third thing we wanted to talk about, which I think a lot of people, hearing this probably are either dealing with themselves or hearing about, and that is how your community and town, how they see Airbnb. And I think you said that there was some laws being put in place or things are being talked about.
Yeah, so vacation rentals in general in South Lake Tahoe have been a hot topic in the town and city council meetings and all of that. because we do have a somewhat transient economy. A lot of people come here just to work for a season or two, and there's a lot of absentee owners, their second homes. And I don't know why, but it's only been the last couple years where, affordable housing for locals has really become an issue. People are having a hard time finding a place to live, or rents have increased quite a bit. So there's definitely been some changes to the vacation home rental ordinances, and including a proposed ban on all multifamily units as two rentals.
Huh. Now, would that affect a duplex? Is this
Right.
multi?
Yeah. So
Wow.
multifamily would be anything has two kitchens and two separate units. So it could be, and that's unfortunate because it could be, a studio above a garage that it wasn't really suited for long-term rentals, or a mother-in-law unit, or a duplex, triplex, and anything up to a large apartment
Now,
complex.
now is that just for any future ones that want to do it, or that goes back to you? I mean, that stop your
So
business.
yeah, initially, and this process has been going on for several months now. But I've spoken at a couple of city council meetings, and heard, the opinions of other property owners like myself, and most people who are doing vacation rentals with a multifamily unit are doing something similar to me. They're making it work. They're making Tahoe work for them. It's, it is kind of hard to make a living here sometimes. And, they're renting one place. They're not renting in a large apartment complex, essentially as a hotel. They're doing something similar to me. But the the new ordinance that was just passed is going to grandfather in any current multifamily homes as vacation rentals, as long provided you hold a permit and are paying your taxes and not getting any violations.
Now, just so people understand this, so like where we live, our county is very pro vacation, it's rentals. So we had to apply for a permit. We, pay a yearly permit fee, very cheap, but then we pay 10% of our, we pay 10% tax on all of our income, which is pretty high, but they love it. And actually the rental, the income that our county gets is the second biggest part of their income, to pay for schools and everything else. So I think it can be a positive thing if a county sees it the right way. Now, does Lake Tahoe is make you do a permit and charge taxes and stuff?
Right. So the city of South Lake Tahoe requires a permit, and we also pay 10%, and the permit fees are also relatively low compared to, a night's rental. So yeah, we're permitted, and requires an inspection yearly, which is essentially just a safety inspection. Make sure you have fire extinguishers and exits and maps and stuff like that. And yeah, 10% goes to the city. And then if you're in the county, it's a different permit, which is cheaper and easier to get. So.
And then, and that's the thing that kind of bugs me about Airbnb is that, and I've tried to, email them and talk to them about it, is like, have a part on your site where as part of the fee, I can tack on that tax. So it can get collected, and they say, well, you just add it on, you can just raise the price and take it out. Because I guess Airbnb is trying to really fight all these taxes, and they don't want to make it easy for people to collect them. So how are you dealing with the tax?
Yeah, I guess it's just absorbed into my nightly rate, and it's just obviously something I have to pay. But running the numbers, it still makes sense to do the short-term rentals versus a long-term rental.
Yeah, no, I mean, totally. I can see it from both ways. It's like you said, we're property owners too. I should be able to do anything with my property I want to, and if I need to make extra money by renting out a back room or back building, I mean, I should be allowed to do that, and that makes sense. I can see the other side too, where if people can't find places to live, you can kind of kill a community. And we all know, or we've heard the stories of the owners that kind of abuse the system where they buy out big apartment buildings, kick everyone out, and then it just becomes like a hotel.
Right.
Are there people like that in Tahoe who are abusing the system?
I'm sure there are, and I do see both sides of it too. Our city council has made it pretty clear that they don't think that you should be able to do whatever you want with your own property, at least in city limits. And that if you're running a vacation rental, it's you're running a business out of your property, and that's
Right.
fine. And I'm happy to adhere to all the laws and pay the taxes. But the others, I see the other side where I see people having a hard time finding a place to live, and I don't see much abuse, but there are places that are constantly, huge vacation rental homes that are constantly, having noise violations and
Right.
trash outside and things like that. So,
Yeah. So, maybe the answer really is just the town needs to crack down on the abuse, crack down on the owners who are not improving the area.
right. And our community does it's based and always has been and thrives on tourism. So there can't be too many restrictions because there's essentially when we have events and large, busy seasons, there's not enough housing for people to come and stay short term.
Right.
So it's a
Or,
fine line and it's a process. And
I mean, another way is, if the town wants to encourage more long-term is rentals, they should like do a tax cut or something. Like if you do a long-term a rental, then you get a cut on your taxes, and then they make up for that tax by taxing the people that do the vacation
right.
rentals.
Yeah.
It's cool. Yeah, I mean, actually, it's when I say our county is very pro-vacation, it's rentals. I guess we did have an issue this past year where people were starting to rent out rooms in their homes, people who lived right in town, and
Mm-hmm.
they actually made that illegal because they didn't want the town itself to start to become like hotels. So you can only
Huh.
rent when you're kind of outside the town,
Yeah.
kind of out in the countryside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's interesting, and there's a lot of there's a lot of different cities, around the United States are experiencing problems. Like for example, Hawaii, I guess they have a law that says you have to live within 30 miles. So essentially, you have to live on
Ah,
the island
right,
to be able to vacation rental a property. And the city of Santa Monica completely banned short-term rentals recently.
right.
So there's a lot happening, and it will never be banned in Tahoe, but I think the
Well,
restrictions are going to get
yeah, I guess every town just needs to choose what works for them.
right. And the industry itself employs a ton of people, anywhere from cleaners to property management, people like myself. So it's not going to go away, and people are always going to be visiting Tahoe.
Right.
It just, yeah, I guess I don't have the answer.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's no silver bullet, but it's
Right.
interesting to think through these things. And I always tell people, if you're thinking about renting on Airbnb or whatever, start getting involved in those conversations. Show up to community meetings, town hall meetings. Be a be a part of that talk.
Yeah, it's definitely it's been really interesting and informative. I hadn't been to a city council meeting before I started renting
That's
my
like most people, right?
yeah, and then I became really interested, and you get a lot of information about everything that's going on in your town.
Yeah. And just to kind of wrap this up, I remember when we were looking for another its property, there was a property here where it was an old house, probably from the 20s. And the way it was like a little boarding house. And I think people forget that. Like, during our grandparents' time, it was a very common thing for people to have homes it's within neighborhoods. And it was like a local boarding house where I guess traveling salesmen would rent and transient people it would rent. And the a widow would just be making extra money by cooking a big fried chicken or something for rentals. So I kind of feel it's like that's coming back in a way.
Yeah, and we have a lot of interesting properties here too. So I think I mentioned in emails with you that the town really got built up before the Olympics, and so there was and people just were using homes here as summer homes only. So
Right.
a lot of places that aren't really suitable for long-term rentals because they were
Right.
built in pretty quickly in the 50s.
And I know it's for us. Like I remember, I'm 43, so I remember traveling in Europe back in the mid 90s, kind of really before the internet, and trying to find places to stay, mainly hostels and stuff. It's so different now. We're going to Ireland next month, and I'm just so excited about renting a car. And I've already looked on Airbnb, and just there's all these farms that are renting out little small houses on the farms, and they're really cheap, like $80 a night. And it's just that would not have been possible back 20
Right. Yeah. What
years
a
ago,
cool
you know?
experience.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like we love traveling too, and that really changes everything, you know?
Yeah. You really get to see a place in a different way when you can stay in a place like that as opposed to a hostel.
Seriously. I mean, no offense to hostels. I've
They're
always
great.
enjoyed them, but I'm getting a little too old to stay in
Yeah.
hostels. What do you think you're going to do in the next 12 months? Like, sketch out, are you expanding, just kind of it's maintaining?
Yeah, my plan if everything goes great and I'll hopefully purchase another place. I'm
Oh,
not sure.
really? We didn't talk about
Yeah.
this.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean, well, I don't want to jinx anything, but I do need this year's taxes essentially to qualify for, a place that I would like to get. And based on, I guess, our vacation rental laws, I'll decide if it's going to be, and if the right property comes up, if it'll be a single family place or a multifamily. And then I have to decide if I'd like to do two. Well, actually, right now I'd have to decide if I want to do two vacation rentals in my duplex or have one long term and one vacation rental in the back. And I say I have to decide now because I'd have to apply for that permit to be grandfathered in.
Can you just get the permit and then just live there anyway and just,
Right, you can.
yeah, gotcha.
Yep. So that's something I have to decide in the next couple weeks, and then yeah, hopefully, buy another property. With the
Now,
right.
now, now that's kind of exciting. Thinking about buying another property. So I assume you're on a Redfin or a Zillow, and you're looking
Yeah,
at everything. And
yeah. I'm looking a lot right now, and things are going up because it is summer and the economy's doing well right now. So I'd like to purchase another place after I do my taxes next year and before summer. So because I'm envisioning, another fixer upper. So I'd like to have the summer to be able to work on it.
the cool thing is, it sounds like it's really kind of changed things. It's for you, just going to just bartending and being a ski bum to like
Yeah.
being a owner and a renter.
Yeah, it definitely has changed things, and I think it's made me more invested in my community. I'm planning on staying here,
Right.
so it's definitely for the better.
And if you want to travel, because that's our dream too, is get it to where we can go away for a month or two at a time and have someone kind of take care of things. Like we could still be handling things on our phone, but there's a local person. I mean, I really
Yeah,
feel like that dream is possible.
yeah, absolutely.
What a life. Okay, well, thanks so much for talking to us today, and we'll post this. We'll post links that we talked about and to your place. And if people have questions, we hope that they ask on the blog, and we'll hopefully have you come over and answer them if you'd like to.
Yeah,
Cool.
absolutely.
All
Yeah,
right.
thank you so much.
See you.
Bye.